Yeah, so you always want to be queuing into the wall. So see here how I'm going to queue into the wall right now, and that's the sort of flow you want to have while you're clearing it. And with this, all these boys here, my pet is like actually losing his mind. Do you guys see him over there? I don't know what that guy's up to. Let's go ahead and
I think it's blue.
here.
Oh, thermal paste.
Yeah, just farm our way up. Evelyn is on the same camera now. Let's see what she decides to do. Evelyn could be looking for a play somewhere. We queue over the wall here to get closer to the
It didn't even save.
Into our queue and just filter all of them down. So the 15 ball lane, because Evelyn is exclusively coming down.
Where is this? Since I drew this already? I did, but it's not consistent. It needs to be up here. Like around, like here. I just picked the last one. And I need to fix the arms. Need to fix this thing at the top of his head. Glass. Need to fix the glasses. Need to fix the belly.
Oh, it's good. Wow. That Yumi just won the bike. Incredible. Again,
I wanna beat my meat. I want a girlfriend so bad. This is the most beautiful.
I don't know if she skipped her Gronk, she hasn't moved on.
So you're not that.
So if you look to go ahead and recall, right after our cap here, we should push the crab all the way to his raptors and grab the one of his raptors. Looking at the bot wave, we can technically wait here and try and look for ink, but instead I'm going to recall and go straight to my points. Let's go ahead and just buy our hubris. We'll go 2 long swords and run straight to the top side. We actually don't really want to pre-forward on the champion like Kane. We're playing an assassin style. Since in general, Kane is more resource so buying pre-forward feels less good.
The last time. If the don't take their stuff in the lane. Second thing, what else? Don't take stuff in the lane unless you're pushing. Well, there's loads of other things. I have no idea what to do there. What the fuck? Why did you put that there? This is my, I don't have to animate for the rest of the day. This is my last game for the day. Like if the world was in, I wanna be you.
Has full HP, like a lot of HP. The long can just W and then Q this guy.
Hopefully we do well. The rest of the day I'm just gonna study.
I just want to level up really quickly, and then I can go back to my...
I need to watch this guy, how he plays.
Antarctica was...
Oh, no.
Why is everyone like fucking beating on Katy Perry? She's just... These people are so weird.
Not knowing what's going on in my business, that's what keeps me up at night. The fact that we run on Monday.com and that it takes our day-to-day and automatically turns it into graphs and charts.
What should I do now?
Crystal clear, it is a real game changer for us. We don't have to manually enter enough data or steer.
I like the SKT skin, that's overall skin. Let me just bring it exclusive.
Real-time insights. And those insights turn into action, which turns into growth. It's that simple. And with Monday.com, it happens naturally.
It's that simple.
Manager, that is music to my ears.
What should I do now? So I wanna just play one game a day. So you get the gold or whatever. It took me years to do.
most goofy video game releases, the Fantastic Four for PS1. For some background context as we begin, it was developed by Probe Entertainment and published by Acclaim, at a time when Acclaim was being heavily criticized for releasing low-effort cash-grab games. So this Fantastic Four title was amongst their new releases aimed at their reputation. We'll talk about how that went for them more towards the end of the video. But to start, the premise for the game doesn't sound too bad. It's a beat-em-up, side-scrolling adventure featuring the whole Fantastic Four roster, plus a bonus member, She-Hulk. Together with up to 3 friends, assuming you bought the multi-controller adapter for the PS1, you could play together and fight villains in the comics. Another thing to tell about this game is that it was also the Fantastic Four's first time all being played together. They had a quest sword game prior to this, but it only
You got this.
play with
I don't think she
so
had
the
it.
PS1 game would have been a big deal for fans. Sadly, the execution is lacking. To begin, the first impressions you get of the game aren't great. Starting with the cover art, Giga Chad Mr. Fantastic definitely stands out from the pack and is absurdly over the top. He was stung by bees and had no Benadryl at all. In Probe and Acclaim's defense, though, this game was taken from an actual comic cover for Fantastic Four number 416, so at the very least, the cover suggested the game will be based on the comics. However, it also tells you how probably it is your experience. That idea would be further reinforced once you check out the opening FMV cutscene for Mr. Fantastic, which plays when you boot up the game. That's totally old school porno music, right? And why is the cutscene so obscenely dark? It doesn't get much better from here as we look at the other members' intros.
Invisible Woman! Get to ask them about it all, so without further ado, would you please join me in welcoming to Chapman University and back to the Hollywood Reporters Awards Chatter podcast, Billie Eilish and Phineas. Thank you guys so much. Believe me, we realize how special an opportunity this is for all the students and
This is
all
cool.
of us.
Thanks for the intro.
Of
Very
course.
Nice. Hi, guys.
So, I would like to just begin, if we can, right at the very beginning. Your parents were actors. Your mom, I believe, wrote some songs of her own. How much did any of that influence your own desire to be performers of some kind?
Well, our mom was just a very, very talented songwriter and taught us kind of all the basics of like learning to write music.
Oh.
And I was a huge inspiration. I mean, my mom is like one of the people I look up to the most in the world. And yeah, I don't know.
Now, what we are going to do is intersperse with my questions from students that we're putting in a certain order so that hopefully this all makes sense and flows. And for that, we are going to first go to Riley LeBlanc. Riley?
Hi, Billy and Phineas.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. I was just wondering, what actually led to the two of you to begin making music together for the first time? And did you, immediately enjoy collaborating together, or did it take a little while?
Good question.
God. So, I feel like everything I say is stupid. Sorry. I just, want to do that. And so, when I was 11, I started writing music. It was we had just been in an age where we were, as Phineas puts it,
Well, there's, 4-year age gap, gets smaller and smaller as you get older, right? Billy's almost 22, and I'm 26, and that doesn't feel, insane. I remember being 22 super well, and I'm not that different.
No, Billy was the same age as
But
me.
when you're, 14 and 10, you're like, this is ridiculous.
Phineas says that he saw no value in me then. Straight up. But he's not wrong. So, but anywho,
To give an example, when I was 14, I came home one day, and Billy and her best friend were doing a yard sale outside of the house of stuff from my room. They're just selling my possessions to the neighborhood. and I just like grabbed them all and like walked back into the house. Anyway, so as the gap closed, we just sort of got closer and closer.
And can I just ask, so Phineas, when you're 18, Billy was 13, I think.
Yeah.
You go on, you're an actor as well, and you started on Glee.
Yeah.
You guys, as a result, I think were not seeing each other as much as you had up to that point. Did that have something to do with collaborating?
Well, that's kind of what I was saying, is that we had just come out of this, to answer your question, which we did not do. We had just come out of like a period of like not being as close as we were before and then were after, because it was that awkward age of like just different, teenager versus like child is just a different vibe. And but I thought Phineas was so cool, and he was so talented, like from the jump of writing. And I have always loved music so much, and loved singing so much, and have always written. And he was really good, I was not. And then at a certain point, when I was 13, I think you were like newly 18. 17, I don't know. We were like, why don't we just like make some little stupid little SoundCloud, you know, songs. You could have like a free download link, and we put out like a tiny little dumb little song. Do you remember that? Do you remember like the "She's Broken, but then he's okay"? We named it that, but like with the capitalizations in it.
The truth about collaborating, though, is that she has always had that, like, the voice. Like, her voice. Obviously, now, when we listen to recordings from years ago, you're like, oh, you sound so much younger. But at the time, she didn't have a voice that sounded like a little kid's voice. She just had a beautiful voice. But recording is laborious. And, you know, doing 30 takes to get the best one or whatever you might have to do, especially the less experience you have, the more challenging it is. You know, it just takes some sort of like discipline, and it takes not getting bored of the process. So it was sort of, I was like always excited to like work with her in any capacity. It was just kind of about like her aging into being like, no, that would be fun.
But I remember like talking about it all the time. Like, I remember being like, dude, we should make music together sometime.
Yes, totally. And it was like when she was 13, the process of, because I'd been sort of like trying to teach myself how to produce all of like high school, and the process finally was like not so annoying to her to be recording all day, and you know, because it is like a boring process in a lot of ways.
Then like the first real song we made was this song called Ocean Eyes, and that's, yeah, I was like 13 and you were like newly 18.
Yep.
And we made Ocean Eyes and put it out on SoundCloud.
I have a Chapman tie-in to Ocean Eyes if you want a Chapman tie-in.
Yeah. He does.
I was in a terrible band, and I was 18. And we were doing any little opportunity we could possibly do. And somebody we knew somebody who had like a student radio show thing, a Chapman. And we drove down here to do like some little radio thing, and we sucked. We just like sounded terrible. And we were just like on whatever mic they'd put us on. We just all knew we sounded terrible. And then we had our long like drive of shame back to LA for an hour. And we were definitely like, the vibe in the car was like, we gotta quit, like this sucks. And I got back to Highland Park, which is where we were living at the time, and I had been talking to this manager who's still our manager today, who at the time I'd been talking to about this producer that he managed. Anyway, I got this text from him that was like, what is this song that you produced? And we'd put out Ocean Eyes on SoundCloud the night before, and so the day I came to Chapman was the day that it started to get like picked up by blogs and stuff. So I have this kind of weird sense memory of like being at Chapman and checking like the SoundCloud streams, being like, wow, I have over 100 streams on this. Anyway, but that was like the day that Ocean Eyes was first out, which I thought was cute. Anyway,
let's go to Dylan Flores.
Hi, Billy and Phineas. Love the fits. My name is Dylan Flores. I'm a.
Was that prepared before you saw our outfits?
I was practicing it like so many times.
What if I looked trash?
He would have hesitated more, even like, I love the outfits.
What's up, Dylan?
Hi, I'm a film production major. I'm curious about your mentors and teachers that you've had in your life and what role they played in your career.
So, trigger warning, I didn't go to school. Never. Not one day of it. Not one day, guys.
Ask us any question about anything, and you'll find out how that went.
Wait,
what we know about any form of...
No, it's true. We don't know much. But...
Mentors come in all forms, though. You were in the LA choir, right? And...
Right. So... Okay. Mentors and teachers. We were actually just talking about this because there's so many people that I want to like thank in the world that have been such an enormous part of my like journey as a person and as an artist and a musician and a friend and a lover and a, you know, in every single way. And I feel like, I don't know, I think about them all the time, and then sometimes, cause you know, life is so long and experience is just like constantly happening, and people are constantly inspiring you and pissing you off and making you happy and all the things, and you forget, like, damn, I forgot that person was such a huge inspiration to me and made me who I am in this way of my life. I feel like honestly, this isn't gonna mean anything to you, but my gymnastics teacher growing up, his name was Clancy McBride, and I loved him so much, and he really inspired me, and I don't know, it was really cool. And my dance teacher, Fred Diaz, who was the person who asked us to make a song for a dance, and then we made Ocean Eyes for that purpose. I always feel really thankful for him. And then like people, you know, I always looked up to, like Marina and the Diamonds and Lana and Aurora, and yeah, and there's this guy Bloody Osiris that was like my biggest inspiration in fashion, and I don't know, there's so many that I really like want to make a list and like write them. Mackenzie? Fucking Mackenzie, what the fuck are you doing here? I haven't seen you in like 100. You work here? What? I grew up with this bitch. What's up, dude? Where's Skylar at? Oh my god. Sorry.
Small world.
Sorry. That's so cool. Nice to see you. Anyway.
Well, that's great. Phineas, was there anybody you want to add to the list here?
Well, I mean, it's the point that Billy makes, which I think is interesting and very true of both of our sort of professional life, is like we haven't had that much direct like mentorship from kind of a music place. Like the people Billy mentioned are like literally like her gymnastics teacher, dance teacher. I think that like what really translated, because we started young enough, that like it was really just like adults treating us like our ideas weren't terrible. And that didn't have to be within the realm of music. It just had to be like an adult listening to us talk about our dreams and our hopes and our ideas and validating them. And I've tried to like do that. And in fact, the people in music that I was turning to usually like steered me like wrong. And I don't think that's like necessarily their fault as much as it is like every person's journey through their career is going to be so different, especially in entertainment. It's like different every single time. So most advice that worked for you in the past is not incredibly applicable to the next instance. Like if we walked you through like every how of how we have this career and you to a T followed all of it, like it wouldn't work. And if you said like I'm gonna do this and this and this, and I was like, oh, I don't know if that's gonna work, like that would probably work better. You know what I mean? Like it's so different every time.
So that was 8.
And the people that you mentioned, like the artists, Marina, Lana, like Aurora, we've met them once or twice, but like those are people that influenced us and inspired us and taught us a lot just from being a fan, just from listening to their music and watching their videos.
I feel like being a fan has been my biggest mentor.
Straight up.
It didn't really have any mentors or like, you know, people that were like the person that I, you know, that taught me, you know. What taught me was like being a fan. Like I am a fan. That is what I am, you know. And like sometimes I feel goofy out here because I'm like, like sometimes like, I don't know, I'll be in somebody's house and I'm like, you know, it's like a celebrity or whoever the fuck, and I'm like, you know, they think I'm this like somebody, but really like I tricked them into like letting a fan like be in their house. Like I swear to God, I'm like in people's house, I'm like looking in their trash. Listen, I'm a big fan.
Well, speaking of big fan, I know we have Chloe Avant has a
you can see all their things.
Hello.
Nice
Hi, Billy. Hi, Phineas. Thank you. I'm Chloe. I'm a screenwriting major here at Dodge. My question is, you guys made a lot of your music in your childhood home. Now that you have homes of your own, is there a new space that you like to collaborate and make your music in?
Good question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good question. We do. We work in my brother's house, in his basement that he has turned into a very cute little studio. And that's where we made all of our last album, Happier Than Ever, and then this new album that we're almost done with, that's where we made it as well. And it's
And the
really
Barbie
nice.
song.
And the Barbie song.
Yeah.
New music. Yeah, but yeah, new.
Yeah, it's got some daylight. Like, the basement, it's totally a basement, but there are windows, which is necessary. I don't like working in...
Yeah, I personally hate studios.
Yeah.
So much.
There's no daylight. But, you know, also, and this is true often, like, we also love just writing songs on a guitar or piano, like, in living rooms, and we've written a fair amount of hotel rooms. Like, to us, it's like wherever you're living, you know. We almost never go to an actual recording studio complex. And part of that is because we don't know how to use anything, you know? Like, there's very little good to come of me sitting in front of, like, an SSL board. I don't know how to use it.
Let's go to Landon Davies.
Hi, Billy and Phineas.
Landon.
Good. So when making music, how do you balance making something that's important to you and making something that will be commercial for the rest of the world?
Damn.
Good question. Did you line them all up? Did you put all the people asking questions?
We had hundreds submitted.
No,
These are the best.
No, I just mean, or did you put them all in the same row?
Yeah.
Clearly.
Gotta pass the mic, you know?
That's true. So wait, repeat. Can you repeat it?
How do you balance? How do you balance making something that's important to you and also commercial?
So
Right.
like what will sell and what the world will.
It's a really good question. I love that question. I don't know. I feel that when... God, that's such an interesting thing to think about. I feel that I have found that when I try to make something that will be more, what's the word, accessible, or what's the word? Whatever. If I, like, anytime I'm like, ooh, what are people gonna want? Like, what do I... Okay, maybe they want this, or maybe they want that. Like, I always, like, screw myself, because I'm like, that's not why people like you. You know? Like, people don't like you for the fake things you do. They like you for the real things you do. Do you know what I mean? Like, nobody likes somebody for being a poser. They like them because, well, I don't know if anyone likes a poser, but do you know what I'm saying?
They do like posers.
It's not, I don't know.
I have a kind of a two. I've thought about this a fair amount because outside of the work I do with Billy, I'll come in and work with an artist who's had a whole career before me, and oftentimes, you know, this is a thing I've been lucky enough to be involved in a couple times, but it's an interesting place. There's a kind of a category of musician who's like your favorite artist's favorite artist. They're like sort of like darling within the career, within the sort of field, but they're not selling out an arena and their song isn't going #1, etc. But then the biggest artist in the world is like, that artist is my biggest influence. And there's a kind of a category of that, of people that are like burnt out on that, of like, I influenced the other person who made millions of dollars and I, you know, can't afford to go on tour and spend that money. And, you know, that's really tough. And one of the things that I come in and do is I'm like, you know, some of it is like literally structure. It's like, you've made this amazing piece of music, repeat the chorus. Like, that sounds so kind of obvious and goofy, but sometimes it really is just like a structural thing. It doesn't mean pandering at all. It just means kind of like looking at it as a piece of furniture and making it a little more usable. But I also think that above everything else, you're just going to make what you love. Like, you're going to make what you listen to and what you're inspired by. And, you know, I think like if you listened to like deeply, deeply obscure, you know, less than 1,000 stuff on Spotify.
Like, why did you stay there?
Influence your thing, and you'll luck out, and your thing will get really popular. Or you make something that's also really cool and complicated.
She's not strong. She's just really
challenging. I think that would be like, more than thinking about it from a perspective of like, how do I make something that's going to be huge? You think about it from a perspective of like, do I love, like, would I love it? You know.
Here's an interesting one from Lila Farrakhan about
you know the funny thing,
your writing process.
Hi, I'm Lila Farrakhan, and I'm a broadcast and documentary major. And I was wondering, when you experience writer's block, what do you do?
Good question.
Yeah, dude, you guys are stumping me. What's up, Lila?
Oh my god. Just all this is because of stupid riff there.
I feel like
Stop it, Phil.
it's good to not put too much pressure on yourself with that. Like, I don't know. I was just talking to somebody about this. It's actually Greta Gerwig, which is hilarious. But we were talking about how, creativity takes boredom, and productivity takes creativity. And, if you're just like doing a bunch of stuff and you never have a second, and then it's like, okay, here's my 2 hours to create. It's like, well, I don't have anything yet. Like, I haven't given myself time to like know what I even want to even say. I'm like completely somewhere else. I'm not here right now. And I feel like the times when I've been the most creative are when I just like put down my phone and I like stop doing stuff. And
that's too much damage.
Let me just exist and feel and like see stuff and look around and experience. But it's definitely like a very demoralizing feeling.
Oh my god, stop.
Writer's block. And I will say that I've said this before, so if anyone has heard me say this, I apologize for repeating myself. But in January, which is when we wrote What Was I Made For the Barbie movie, we had been in like a chunk of time of quote-unquote writer's block. And I don't even know if writer's block is real. It's more just like
self-doubt.
It's like self-doubt. Because the thing is, it's not like you're incapable of making a song. You could literally sit down and make a song. I promise you. It just might be terrible. But you can do it.
Might think it's terrible.
Or you might think it's terrible, but it doesn't mean... It's not like you have like a dam stopping the stream in your head of creating. You can still create. You just don't think it's very good, and that's really disheartening and frustrating. And you're like, fuck, I can't do it. Like, I actually can't do it. But you could. But, damn. But during this period of time, we had been working a lot and trying to come up with stuff and just like not making anything good. And it felt bad. It wasn't like we were making like funny, silly, goofy little things and we loved it. It was like, this doesn't actually feel good. And I had just said this the other day that like I was genuinely like worried that it was over. And I was like, I don't know if I have this in me anymore, And it was also scary to think about because everything that I have made and put out in my life has been when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And now I'm like this like adult and I've never made anything. And so I'm like, well, I guess that would make sense. That like maybe I lost it. I don't know. That's maybe like growing up is like losing that or something. And we tried and tried and tried and like could not make anything. And then we saw this Barbie movie and oh my god, is it amazing. And the next day we had a really uncreative day and we were really bummed out and I was gonna leave, and then we were like, you know what, let's just try to do this. And I think now that I think about it and I'm blabbing on, I think a big help for writer's block is just do something else with that. Stop trying to write that one song or do that one craft or whatever the thing you are interested in doing. And like, you know what? I'm going to write a song about a mailman who tripped and fell and broke his leg,
Tell me more.
Yeah, just like change it. Just like change your mind about it. And I'm saying stupid things. See,
it's great. It's great.
Okay.
I was just going to add to that really quickly. Like, I also think that it is like creativity is a muscle group, and just like working out and then taking a break, it can atrophy and you can get a little out of shape. I felt that in the last probably like the top of the year when Billy's talking about it. I'd spent much less time writing than almost ever in my life, and I'd atrophied a little bit.
Is that because you were performing? Right?
Yes, we were on tour like all of last year. So I'd had less opportunity to write, and I'd sort of been like, I need to write right now. Take time off from it, and it was harder to come back into it and get it going. And then sort of through power of repetition, I felt better about it. And also I was, same thing Billy was saying, like I had to get a little bored. Like I have the most, like all my more creative ideas are like when I'm on a hike, just like doing weird sort of like things that are not looking at my phone or answering a question or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway. So I'm going to have the next two questioners say their questions back to back because I think to some extent you answered the first one, but just in case this makes you think of anything else. So Casey Sandoval and then Izzy Schulman, if you can go back to back.
Hi, Bailey and Phineas. I'm Casey, and I'm a screenwriting major. My question for you is, do you force yourself to make music at certain times and for certain amounts of time, or do you just do it when inspiration strikes?
That was good. That was really good. They do
Hi,
all
I'm
that.
Izzy. Over the years, what have you each found to be the most difficult song to produce, either emotionally or technically?
Great questions.
Yeah, good stuff.
The easy answer to the first one is we schedule it. Like, you know, obviously if you're then uninspired, you can, you know,
Call it.
or if you're inspired at a time where you didn't schedule it, whatever. But we find it really helpful to just schedule it like a job. And like our thing the last couple records has been like, for most of the cycle, we do 3 days a week. Do like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And then as the album sort of like progresses and gets closer to done, we maybe do more days.
Sounds
But
actually
yeah,
good. We've done
scheduling
8
is
round practically.
super important.
And we won. We won the trade.
And then
Even
that
though
second
they're
part,
on
I
the
guess,
tower.
was there a song that you found most challenging to
If
either
the
emotionally or
world is
technically?
ending,
I love that question.
Honestly,
Honestly,
Not really, but that would be
emotionally, I have a song called
this
TV.
thing is simple from Billy
Yeah.
Eilish.
It was just like tough to
It's
tough to
coming in, like,
record,
10
hard to
seconds.
sing. And then I was just like in a bad zone, and then was having to like I was in Europe also, and I was on tour, and I was stuck in these hotels, and I was comping all the vocals
I
on
stole
Phineas's
it.
laptop like
I am truly
for
black.
days, and it was bumming me out. Like it was just such a bummer of a song, and yeah. So I think emotionally that was a really tough one. It's like it's hard for me to listen to that one sometimes, although I love it. And then technically, what are your thoughts on that?
We're like, it's kind of a cop-out answer, so I apologize, but we're always trying to learn new stuff in terms of writing music, so the rule is like it usually just gets more and more difficult. Like we set ourselves challenges, you know, so like even though we've made albums now, like the stuff on the new record is harder, you know, from a kind of a singing difficulty standpoint. It's harder.
Yeah,
and
we
that's
have
kind of on purpose.
we have like one on this new record that has been just like it's just been causing problems. It's just like challenging in so many ways. It's hard to sing. It's like it's just like kind of complicated, and like also it's so interesting when with music at least, like when you don't even know what you want it to sound like, and it's just like very impossible to like move through that. So there's been like a couple on this album that are pretty challenging, but in like a I don't know, it's still exciting though. I don't know. Sorry,
This
that's
is
a long
another
answer.
process question, I guess, but Sam Lepson.
Yes, hi, I'm Sam. I'm a screenwriting major, and my question is...
You have an accent.
I do indeed.
What are you doing with an accent?
I don't know, it's just sort of happened to me.
Oh my God.
Consider it. Anyway, as songwriters, how do you know when a song is finished? I imagine that there's probably a temptation to infinitely tinker with it.
I mean, from a songwriting perspective, right, you get to the end of it.
Is he the only one with an accent? Anyone else got an accent in here?
You need a different accent.
Okay, sorry.
Not
go
an
on.
American accent.
From a songwriting
This is
perspective,
the-
you get to the end of it, right? You've written out your idea, and then if anything bothers you, you go back and change it, right? You're like, nah, I don't like that line in that verse. Let me see if I can beat it. And then from a production standpoint, yeah, you know, unlimited versions and options, and it can be infuriating. I usually like try to treat music production like it's scales, and it has to have a balance and an equilibrium. And if you add one thing and it starts to tip the scale at the end, that's when I know that I've gone too far. Like scales or Jenga, like some analogy of like one less piece, one more piece, you're going to tip it all over. And that kind of happens. It all feels pretty good, and you're like, what else can I add?
You run away.
And
You
it
run
ruins
away
it.
only
Oh,
for him to
great.
kill you.
Take it out. And that's when I feel done. How about you?
Well, you and I have a very like structural like rules that we follow. And I feel like for us, for songwriting at least, I don't know if I ever feel like, this isn't, like, could we add more? Cause we write in a very, like, classic kind of, classic with a twist maybe, but like classic verse, you know, pre-chorus, verse, whatever it is. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, verse, right? And you can kind of play with that, but those were kind of, honestly, our mom taught us a lot about structure and songwriting, and what was cool about knowing...
And never that we had to do
That's what
structure,
I'm saying.
yeah.
What's cool about knowing structure, you know, kind of history of structure in songwriting and, like, classic structures in songwriting is that once you know them, then you can be like, oh, sick, like, now I know that, and I can, like, play with that. It's kind of like driving. Like, you know the rules, but, like... like, I know all the rules, but now I can, like, play with them. I can play with them a little.
Let's go to Sophia Chu.
That is funny. That is funny.
My name is Sophia Chu, and I'm a film production major. My question for you is, what is the best note or suggestion that each of you have gotten from each other?
Ooh, from each other? Cool question. I mean it.
Cool question. It sounded very sarcastic, but it wasn't.
Nice question. Oh, I mean it. It was a good question.
What do you think? Best advice?
Best advice. From each other? We give each other so little advice. Like, we really do. We're like...
And if we do, it's, like, infuriating.
We're always, like, looking at the problem together. Do you know what I mean? Like, if she loves the way something's sounding, that's great. And if I love the way it's like, if one of us are unhappy, then we're trying to solve a problem together. I don't know, I mean, I think Billy has a kind of a, like, beautifully emotional response to the technical side of things. And that's, like, something you get more and more divorced from the more you learn. You kind of, like, you kind of trick yourself into thinking you're doing everything the right way. And that it's not the right way if it's not evoking an emotional response, right? And so I think that's been a constant reminder through Billy of, like, this doesn't feel good, and it doesn't matter.
Savannah's
if
actually
I go, like,
weak.
but it's correct.
Savannah's
you know
actually
what I mean? It's
super
like,
squishy.
It doesn't matter if it's not
I thought she
making
was,
her
like, really
feel
tanky,
the way
but
she needs to
she's not
feel.
tanky.
It's not done, or it's not being done the right
I've
way.
never met a champion.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
trying to think about...
I always do
advice.
that. That's like the 5th time I stole this shit.
You know
You
what?
would have gotten
Things
that, and I'm like,
me
nah, I'm a nigga.
that I always loved is... Sometimes, like, again, we don't give each other much advice, but I think every now and then, like, Denise will say something to me, like, super quick. Like, for instance, when I played Coachella for the first time when I was, like, 16 or 17, all my screens were all fucked up. And I was ready to go right when I was supposed to go on stage, and then I had to sit and wait for 40 minutes while the audience blamed me for being late, while I was like, I've been waiting to go on stage, but the screens are all broken and nobody's letting me go on there. And basically, we just had to do it and whatever. And I was walking on stage and I was really freaked out and nervous and embarrassed and self-conscious and yelling. And Phineas just leaned over to me and he said, if anything goes wrong, just act like it's not. And I was like, that's cool. I don't know.
Billy is like pure id in some ways, and it's like amazing quality of
his ability is so.
But like,
imagine being
it is also like it is also this thing where
also
like
doing small amounts of damage.
And I love this about Billy, but sometimes I'm like, it's okay, it's fine. Like, like if there's a mistake that only Billy notices, there's like if there was something wrong that only she noticed right now, she'd point it out to all of you, and like that's kind of a beautiful trait. But sometimes I'm like, it's fine.
Well, this is a related question, actually. Ledger Taylor, why don't you go ahead?
Hey guys, my name is Ledger, and
Excuse me.
Damn!
You're totally good.
You fucked up!
No one ever gets it right, so you're totally good.
Ledger.
Yes.
Ledger.
So my question is, other than each other's, whose feedback about your music do you seek out and value before sending it out to the world?
That's such a great question, Ledger.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. What was Leger's question again?
Did you really not listen?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Making a name joke. Sorry, Leger.
Yeah, I swear he said Leger. I swear he said Leger, not Leger.
You know, we play our stuff for our parents. Send to the team, make sure everybody, you know, we had an A&R.
We still have.
We have one. But, yeah, anyway. But we used to have all these people we'd send everything to, and what do you think, and do you think this? And I think after a while, we just really trusted ourselves, and we were like, you know what? We know what we want it to be, and that's how it feels right now. So I think that at this point, it's really the two of us. And then, honestly, like friends. You know, Phineas's girlfriend Claudia is like a big one. We always are like getting her upstairs and bringing her down and like, listen, can you listen? And then
our cool taste. I mean, anyone with cool taste is like a good person to play your stuff for. I mean, very rare. Like, we're so critical of our own thing that by the time that we actually are sort of like, okay, we think it might be done. Like we've really cross-examined it a lot. But a couple times, I remember when the party's over. Actually, we were like so tripped out by the time we finished recording it, and we sent it to our managers and our A&R, and I remember we were like, let us know what we can do to make it better, and they were like, sounds great. And so sometimes you need that person too. Sometimes you need a person to listen to something with fresh ears that you haven't had in months. And we have that. I feel like we've had that a couple times on this new record too, of like a thing that we maybe like have no sort of perspective on anymore.
It's just don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just pretend it's not real. You'll be fine because there is nice people. It's just like, are you ever gonna find these nice people? That's the question. Just forget about it. It never happened. Just be idealistic. Or is this a dream? Whoa.